Today, with you, I want to uncover a truth we rarely question. Money has never been just money. It was once heavy enough to sink ships, powerful enough to build empires, and fragile enough to collapse with a single broken seal. In the ancient Aegean world, from Lydia to Athens, a small stamped piece of metal changed human history forever. Because the real revolution was not gold or silver. It was trust. And once you understand how that trust was created, controlled, and weaponized, you will never see modern money the same way again. Modern people think of money as paper, or perhaps a number on a screen, maybe a notification on a phone, abstract, weightless, almost completely detached from physical reality. But once, money had weight. Weight meant trust, and trust meant survival, because a mismeasured ingot, a suspicious coin, or an unrecognized seal could bankrupt a merchant, keep a ship stranded in port, and destroy the trade of an entire season. To understand Aegean trade, one must first look at the world before it, because monetary units do not emerge in a vacuum. They arise when old systems crack, when new needs surpass old solutions, when people feel that the tools in their hands are no longer sufficient. In the Bronze Age Aegean, across that vast and complex trade network stretching from the Mycenaean palaces to the ports of Cyprus, from the markets of Ugarit to the storerooms of Crete, a payment system in the sense we understand it did not exist. Instead, there were weight standards. Copper ingots were cast in oxhide shapes of fixed mass. Gold was measured on scales. Grain was calculated by volume. Value resided in the thing itself, not in a word, not in a promise, not in a seal. This system functioned when trade was local and personal, but as the Aegean expanded outward toward the seas, as cities grew, as cargo traveled to distant ports, the system began to collapse under its own weight. Every new partner meant a new problem of trust, and every new port brought its own understanding of measurement. It was precisely at this moment, when need was sharpest and old solutions were visibly insufficient, that Lydia entered the story. Nourished by the golden rivers of Anatolia, where the Pactolus scattered fine grains of electrum along its banks, that wealthy kingdom changed history in the 7th century BCE. The electrum coin, that small, crude piece made from the natural alloy of gold and silver, stamped with the head of a lion, introduced something entirely new to the world. The innovation was not the metal itself, for metal had always existed. The innovation was the seal impressed upon it. That seal was not merely a guarantee of weight. It was a promise of the state, an invisible chain carrying the authority of the king into every transaction, every payment, every contract. Once that guarantee existed, human behavior changed. People stopped looking at the metal and began looking at the sign, because behind the sign stood power, and power dispelled doubt. Value no longer lay in the substance, but in the symbol. This subtle, almost imperceptible, yet entirely revolutionary leap reshaped Aegean trade, because if value resides in the sign, it becomes easier to carry, easier to divide, easier to send across distances. The physical burden decreases, but the burden of trust increases. The Greek city-states inherited this tool and stamped upon it their own character, their own political will, their own worldview. In Athens, the owl representing the wisdom of the night. In Corinth, Pegasus symbolizing winged freedom. In Aegina, the turtle emerging from the depths of the sea. These symbols were not artistic choices, but political declarations. Each coin spoke in the voice of its city. We exist, we guarantee, believe in our word. Every coin entering circulation carried its city's prestige, power, and credibility a little farther. Yet this wealth was also profound fragmentation, because each city maintained its own standard, its own weight system, its own scale. In every port, moneychangers set up shops, quiet, attentive, skeptical men placing their scales upon the table and converting foreign coins into local currency all day long. They were the hidden engine of Aegean trade, because without them no merchant could buy anything in any port. The money changer was not merely an intermediary but trust itself. He served as the essential link transforming abstract claims into real value. Nevertheless, the system never resolved its fundamental weakness, the localization of trust. In wartime, a city's coin lost value because the state guaranteeing it trembled. During blockades, trade routes closed. When political upheaval occurred, yesterday's reliable coin became today's doubtful one. Liquidity flowed only as far as trust existed. That was the truth of that era, and it remains the truth of ours. When Alexander marched east and released the Persian treasuries, the vast gold and silver reserves accumulated over centuries by the Achaemenid Empire, into Greek circulation, gold flooded the Aegean like a torrent. Prices rose, old standards faltered, the coins of small cities dissolved within vast circulation. Capital moved rapidly, but without order. The system expanded, swelled, and tested the limits of its own capacity. Then Alexander died, and with his death, the political will, that unified center of power holding the system together, fragmented. The empire broke apart, coin standards multiplied, trust localized once more. Capital began searching for new stability. The true legacy of Aegean monetary units is not treasure, not empire, not the money changers' shops and the ports. It is the legacy of an idea, one of humanity's most important conceptual leaps. Value can be separated from material reality if trust stands behind it. The Lydian electrum coin was the first crude form of this idea. The Athenian owl, its refined and widely circulated version. The Macedonian tetradrachm, its first truly global iteration. At each step, the same deepening logic, from metal to symbol, from symbol to trust, from trust to system, from system to empire. Modern finance still operates on that same DNA, because paper money is the direct continuation of the Lydian coin. Only the metal has been removed and replaced with the word of the state, and digital payment has transferred that word onto a screen, rendering it invisible. The difference is that the Aegean merchant could see the money changer's scales, could test the authenticity of the metal with his hands, could bite the coin when in doubt. While we trust unseen algorithms, central banks, credit rating agencies, and blockchain protocols. Abstraction has deepened. The source of trust has moved farther from us. Yet the belief-based mechanism of value remains unchanged. Money has never been neutral. It has always operated according to someone's rules, in favor of those who wrote those rules, encoding power relations into every coin, every banknote, every number. The Lydian king sought to increase his treasury. Athens sought to finance its maritime empire. Alexander sought to integrate the lands he conquered. Each transformed the monetary system into an extension of their will. Even if the people of the Aegean did not consciously know this, I am certain they felt it deeply. Every time they watched the money changers' scales with anxious eyes, every time they examined a foreign coin with suspicion, every time they saw political news immediately affect the value of currency, they sensed the power behind the system, that invisible hand. We, however, no longer see that power because it has been embedded too deeply, spread too widely to remain visible. That is precisely why it is important to return to the beginning, to the Aegean, to those first scales, those first seals, those first money changers' shops. Because there, beneath all abstraction, the naked mechanics of the system are still visible. History does not repeat itself, but money has always been the same thing. Something one party promises and another chooses to believe. Thank you for watching us. If this topic was interesting to you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. In the upcoming videos on this channel, we will take a deeper look at history, economics, and the major processes shaping the world. Your opinions are important to us as well. Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, those who understand the past build the future more correctly.